Finally, it was opening day here in Missouri as the St. Louis Cardinals and the Kansas City Royals returned home after a week away to start the season, except it's a day the Cardinals probably want to forget this one quickly. The Redbirds and the Reds were tied at 4 to start the 9th inning, and then things just unraveled. The Reds scored 9 runs in the 9th to take a 13-4 lead. Mitchell Boggs was tagged with 7 runs and 6 earned runs in just a third of an inning pitch. David Freese, though, did rejoin the lineup after starting the season on the disabled list. Things definitely went better for the Kansas City Royals on their opening day. KC waited to the 8th inning to retake the lead against the Minnesota Twins. The Royals won today 3-1. Irvin Santana went 8 innings, giving up 8 hits and 7 strikeouts. Former Missouri Tiger Aaron Crow pitched a shutout inning with a strikeout, getting his 3rd save on the season. Now, lastly, guys, Trey Burke was honored with the Bob Cousy Award today, but he didn't touch it. Well, he barely touched it. That's because a former Cousy Award winner, North Carolina's Ray Felton, threw his back out that night while playing in the national championship. And because Burke plays later on tonight, they just didn't want to risk it. Speaking of Alabama, football.
Nice segue.
Fresh off a national championship and winners of 3 of the last 4 BCS titles. Expectations couldn't be any more higher for Alabama. Here's video from their annual A-Day spring game. 78,000 Bama fans headed to Bryant-Denny Stadium to watch the offense beat the defense in a 17-14 slugfest. Quarterback A.J. McCarron completed 19 of 30 passes for 223 yards, but was also intercepted twice afterwards. At this, head coach Nick Saban was not impressed. Michaela's not impressed, Tyler, saying if he was happy with the team wouldn't have 30 practices and summer conditioning coming up, adding some players are just too comfortable with their circumstances. I guess when you're that tight, you're tight, you know what I mean? Exactly. I can just imagine.
That's the Nick Saban look. If you ask him a question he's unimpressed with, that's the look you'll get. And apparently he's giving that to his football team right now.
Yeah, no, they all know how you feel. The Missouri Tigers added another point guard to the recruiting class. The university announced Shane Rector has signed a letter of intent with the Tigers. Rector, who comes out of South Kent High School in Connecticut and also grew up in New York, averaged 17 points a game and 7 assists as a senior and is considered a 3-star athlete by Rivals.com. Hayes says Shane is a capable scorer with a knack for making those around him better. He joins another point guard in this year's class, Michigan native Wes Clark.
At 500, 3-3, the first 6 games in 2013.
The Royals looking to go 3-3 on the season against the Philadelphia Phillies. 4-2 is your score, and then Billy Butler's serving the country breakfast.
Mashed potatoes, eggs, sausage,
whatever
bacon,
you can get. Whatever you can get.
French toast and pancakes.
And you know what? He actually stopped at second base because he wasn't sure if he made the grand slam or not until they told him, hey, finish up rounding the bases. Okay, 9-4 Royals. Bottom of the 9, Jimmy Rollins is going to hit that 3-run shot. Kansas City getting nervous here.
Their bullpen, what's up?
I don't know. 9-7 now. Lance Nix is just going to drop that one into the center. A run will come in to score Ryan Howard. Uh-oh, this game is now a 1-point lead, 9-8. But then Kelvin Herrera is finally going to shut it down. Gets the exclamation point at the end there.
Runners on second and third. A base hit would have won the game for the Phillies.
Yeah, you see the final score 9-8. The Royals are now 3-3 on the season. Hugs all around. 5 years, Missouri has been home to multiple first-round draft picks, and Sheldon Richardson's name is called in the first round this Thursday. He will be the 6th Tiger on that list. Playing in the NFL has been in Big Shelly's dream since he was 5 years old. And this past season for the Tigers, he ran rampant, helping lead Missouri in tackles as a defensive lineman with 75 on the season. Right now, ESPN ranks Richardson as the 11th best prospect in the draft. In Todd McShay's latest mock draft, though, he has Richardson going 18th to the Dallas Cowboys. Mel Kiper Jr. has him at 14th, going to the Carolina Panthers, and that was for the longest time was pretty much where they might think he would be going. A lot of the mock drafts going to the Panthers at 14th, but interesting to see, you know, the 18th selection to the Dallas Cowboys. Who knows? Maybe if he's available for the St. Louis Rams, the Rams will take him. You never know.
It's not going to be long, for every team has a former Mizzou player.
Basically, another.
Next week, when the Missouri Tiger football team has their black and gold spring game, hopefully it won't go anything like Florida's spring game. Jeff Driscoll and the rest of the Florida's 2013 Gators made their debut Saturday in an unconventional spring-type game. There's a Gator Shop. Muschamp announced Tuesday that due to a lack of healthy offensive linemen, they altered the format of the orange and blue debut spring game. Instead of a full scrimmage, they made it an open practice, which included situational scrimmage snaps between individual and team position drills. The Gators perform regularly at practice. During the 11-on-11 sessions, though, freshman running back Kelvin Taylor, son of former Gator great running back Fred Taylor, stood out the most with 59 yards and a touchdown. Running back Mac Jones, who had the most impressive spring, sat out most of the game because they didn't want him to get injured as well.
Where have we heard before a lack of healthy offensive line? It sounds familiar.
Sounds like every fall storyline in Missouri. Sorry, the G-Day game is over, which means spring football has come to an end in Athens, Georgia. The game started off slow, but both the red team and the black team were able to make plays in the fourth quarter, and the game ended up being pretty compelling. But offensive coordinator Mike Bobo, man, he was disappointed afterwards, saying he hopes this spring game was a wake-up call for Georgia. He was disappointed in how his 10 returning starters on offense couldn't beat the defense, losing 23-17. And Tyler, you talked a little about Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football. Well, he could have been Johnny Baseball. It turns out he actually, before he won the starting job, went to the Texas A&M baseball team and asked him if he could play with them. Yeah, he got to throw out the first pitch today for the Rangers today, trying to show off some stuff, so maybe if the NFL doesn't work out for him.
He's got a good right arm, I guess. Put him at shortstop or something.
Yeah, he played in the infield. They didn't say exactly where, just infield.
Fair enough.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Let me tell you, we are in the halftime right now between Hope and Emmanuel, and Columbia College is actually practicing on the court. This is because they will only have about 8 minutes for a warm-up after this game ends. I actually saw when we first got here a few of the guys running the bleachers here just to get their bodies warmed up and get ready to go. Now, Columbia College is the #1 overall seed. They are 33-0, and they tell me that they got here by defense.
Well, it is senior night tonight, and Keon Bell, Alex Soriaki, and Lawrence Bowers will play their last time here at Mizzou Arena. But the story that's dominating the headlines is Mike Anderson's return. Now, let me show you. There aren't a lot of fans here already, but the student section has been full since we got here about 45 minutes ago. They have been very loud as Arkansas has been warming up behind me. Now, as we were saying, this is Mike Anderson's return to Mizzou Arena. It's something that Coach Frank Haith did not want to talk about. He didn't really want to address the fact that Anderson was returning, saying it's just another game on the schedule and it happens to be the last home game. But Mike Anderson had plenty to say.
Hickman is the #1 team in this state. They are 26-2. They are led by sophomore Jimmy Way. In fact, there's only one senior actually playing for Hickman in the lineup, and that's Cecil Williams. Now, this is a team that is very hungry and hasn't had the easiest round as they made their way through the championship bracket. They went into overtime against Washington, and they actually came from behind against Kickapoo. So tonight, they want to start off aggressively. As for Rockbridge, they will be taking on Blue Springs later on tonight. And once again, they're led by 2 sophomores. Sophie Cunningham is here at quarter. Both Missouri commits, and then Sophie Cunningham actually leads Rockbridge Bruins with 18 points per game. You guys are taking on the Florida Gators, a very tough team, a team that Frank Haith says might actually be one of the best teams in the nation. Last time around, it was a 30-point deficit. They jumped out to a quick start. Where's your game plan for tonight to prevent that from happening?
I was actually able to catch up with the Arkansas assistant coach, Matt Zimmerman, and he told me he prepared the guys for the antlers for the student section in the fans before they even landed in Columbia. Said, get ready for these guys. And you can tell that they were frustrated after the game. In fact, that was a key word that Frank Haith, Ernest Ross, and Keon Bell used during the press conference, a press conference that lasted under 5 minutes today. One player that really needs to step up tonight is Phil Presti, a guy that has been beating himself up as of late. Now, against Arkansas, he had a season-high 10 turnovers on the game, and he's been taking a lot of quick shots. Now, this is something that he says that he's been taking upon himself, and he's been doing a little bit of study hall. He's been watching a lot of game film, previous games against Florida, upcoming other video of Florida, as well as all the other Missouri Tiger games. And he's not just watching himself, he's watching his teammates too, and he's studying what habits these guys get into when they're playing well, and then what else other habits they get into when the things start to break down.
Meredith, right now. We are at halftime between Rockbridge and Blue Springs South. The score is 18-16. The Bruins are up by 2. This has been a very, very slow game. Both teams are shooting about 38% on the night. There might be a little bit of jitters for the Bruins. Usually they're a pretty high-scoring team. Well, earlier today, the Hickman Cupies, they weren't so lucky. They lost tonight at a score of 62-59. The Hickman Cupies actually had a pretty big 8-point lead throughout most of the game until the fourth quarter, and they allowed Rockhurst to go on a 25-9 run. Jimmy Witt, though, had 21 points for the Cupies. They blame rush shots and a breakdown on the offense for tonight's loss.